Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRFBets race of the day for Saturday, June the 22nd, race number 11 at Monmouth Park, Grade 1 stakes action on the turf. It's the United Nations. We're going 11 furlongs. Get involved with your money back offer on each race of the day this month. Bet $7 to win on any one horse in any race of the day. If your selection finishes second or third, you get your money back. Learn all the details at promos.drf.com. Let's meet the field for the prestigious United Nations. You can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them. We'll handicap along in post-position order with the number one. Bigger Picture, who won this race, Mike, when? Back in 2017 already? Right. It's been 2 years since Bigger Picture won this race, and he's still kicking at 8. You and I thought that maybe he lost a little bit of zip off the fastball, and possibly that's true, but he still was able to get it done last time out in the Elkhorn.
Yeah, I think he probably has, lost a step. Certainly when he won this race in 2017, it felt like he was running faster races anyway. It's worth remembering that when he won this race a couple years ago, he got a great ride from Bravo, and I think it made all the difference. But he came back last year and he ran a pretty good third in this race too, Dan. I mean, he likes this turf course. He's got a good post here. He is the kind of horse who can get good trips in his races. I felt like that's what really led to his win in the Elkhorn last time. He got a great trip in there, and I felt like some other horses might have got a little unlucky that day.
And he beat 3 next out winners in that race. He is a hard hitter. You got to expect Bigger Picture to be right there at the end of things. The number 2 is Channel Cat, going out for trainer Todd Pletcher. This is a lightly raced 4-year-old. Might have a little bit of upside potential, Mike. He's earned some solid speed figures, very competitive with some in this field. And if you look at his form cycle this year, he caught soft grounds in the Fort Marcy that he really didn't seem to relish. And then last time out in the Manhattan, he was just overmatched.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't too tough last time. He didn't run poorly in there. I thought that all in all, Johnny Velasquez gave him a great trip in there. He put him right behind Bricks and Mortar. He knew that was the horse to beat. He followed him. He just couldn't kick with that horse. That was too tough for him. This is a much better spot for a horse who, it really feels like more distance is probably better for him. He's got a good running style for this race too, Dan. There's just a lot of things to like about this horse.
I would send this horse hard out of the gate if I was Luis Saez. As we take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this year's United Nations, you'll note that the 2 Channel Cats up close to the pace. The 3 Arocha is expected to make the lead. This horse never got out of first gear in the aforementioned Fort Marcy over that wet turf. I guess he set some paces overseas in his career, but if I was Channel Cat, I would go. If Cacho NDA wants the lead, I'd love to sit second off of him.
Yeah, I can see Cacho ND going to the lead for sure in this race. I'd like to know how they have the 3 on the lead with this pace projector. I don't know, maybe they are using his races in Brazil. I have no idea. I guess if you want to give him the soft turf excuse last time, you can do that. But this horse, he's a bit of a wild card in this race.
It is Chad Brown at a price. Chad won this race last year on the lead at a price. Maybe Arocha just didn't care for that soft going in his first start off of a lengthy layoff. Antonio Gallardo is an aggressive and extremely capable rider. Chad Brown at a price. Chad Brown not at a price is next door. That's the number 4 Focus Group, who is your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. And Focus Group, when he's right, boasts a potent late kick.
Yeah, he really does. It feels like the way that the pace of this race sets up could really hamper this horse's chances, because you know where he's going to be early in this race. He's going to be way back off the pace and just try and make one big run from out of it. That's been his style. And listen, he's run some really good races that way, Dan. I wonder if even a mile and 3/8 could be a little short for him. I feel like he might want longer distances. I'm a fan of this horse. I like him a lot. I don't think I'd be betting him at 2-to-1 in this race.
I agree with you. 2 starts back, didn't he just get the perfect trip in the Pan Am?
Yeah, he did.
Where he just saved ground, and Irad did everything right and shot up the inside, and that made all the difference to win by a nose over the wide Melmich. What happened last time out in the Man of War? I know it's a good field. I know Arklow came back, earned a 100 buyer speed figure in his next start. It was one of the rare cases where this horse didn't fire.
Yeah, he really didn't fire in that race. I think a couple things about that race too. I mean, I guess it's one of those things that you always want to keep in mind. All Grade 1 races aren't made the same. That Grade 1 was a lot tougher than this Grade 1. But the other thing about that race is, yes, he was out of it. He had a big pace in front of him in that race, and he really never kicked it into gear. That was a disappointing performance for him.
Cacho NDA is the number 5, and he won the Grade 3 Stars and Stripes 3 starts back when going to the lead. Timeform US doesn't have him on the lead in here. He has not been on the lead in his last 2 races. I think it's time for Nick Juarez to get this horse back to what he does best, getting him on the lead. Last time out in the Manhattan, you want to talk about a tough spot. Your first start of the year since the Arlington Million, and you're running in the Manhattan. I'll just draw a line through that race. The question is he good enough? If you look at his figs from 2 and 3 back, he is, and if they leave him alone on the lead, maybe he lasts for way longer than many people anticipate.
Listen, they've run him in a lot of tough races since they claimed him for 40, and they've been rewarded for it a little bit. He's got a grade 3 win. I thought he ran fine in the Arlington Million, placed 3rd that day. I'm with you. They need to put him on the lead in this race and just see how far he can take them, and maybe he just gets a really soft trip. I'll be honest, Dan, I went through this field. It's hard to make him win this race, but I took a long look at him and thought about picking him on top because this is not the strongest field in the world, and it's not like he hasn't run any races that make him competitive with these horses.
We love Michael Maker. He's just such a great scout of talent. He claimed bigger picture. Just consider this for $32,000, and he's turned him into bigger picture. He claimed Zulu Alpha. They went into the pockets for $80,000, these connections. They eventually gave this horse to Maker. He is now a multiple graded stakes winner. Last time out in the Man of War, boy, I thought he was wide a long way on the backstretch into the turn, and I think that might have taken a little bit of the starch out of him.
Yeah, that's true. He did get a very wide trip in that race, and it's, once again, that situation, that was a much tougher grade 1 than this one is. I think he fits a lot better in races like this one. And as you were sort of alluding to, Maker's just done a great job with him. He finds the right spots. This horse wants to go distances of ground. He really gets the farther they go. And he's one of those horses, what I like about him most in this race, Dan, he's got tactical speed. There's not a lot of pace in this race. He should be right up close in here. He can get the right trip. His best race makes him very tough.
What we usually say about Zulu Alpha is his greatest asset is his tactical speed and his ability to pull good trips. My one question for you is, it seems like he's been running hard race after hard race after hard race all winter long. Do you think maybe last time it was a combination of tougher field, wide trip, but also maybe, he's starting to lose his edge?
I mean, listen, I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility that he's just, they've gotten a lot of racing out of him. That I don't look at horses like that. I want them to race more.
Yeah.
He's run 4 times this year. It's, we're heading into July soon. It's not like it's the most strenuous campaign in the world. He's supposed to be able to stand up to it. I think he has other excuses for his last race.
Nice to see Jimmy Toner getting Hunter O'Reilly back to the races. He had a very abbreviated 2018. One start's very abbreviated, even for today's racehorses. But he's run 3 times this year. He's still Hunter O'Reilly. He has 0 early speed. He comes with a kick. If the pace is fast and the trip is right, he can make some noise at a big price. He's usually not our cup of tea because he doesn't have that kind of speed. But would you really be surprised with Paco Lopez aboard? This horse comes rolling late?
No, he's got races that put him right there with these horses. It's just a question of whether you feel like he can get the right trip in here. It doesn't look like it's going to set up great for his running style.
Mike, are you giving up a little bit too early on Monarch's Glen? I know you thought his opening verse was kind of just a prep race. He got wired by CM Reap in his first start for Bill Mott, his first start in North America. You liked him a little bit in the Monmouth. Didn't think he got a tremendous pace. I do realize Almanar came from off of it. But Almanar on his best day is one of the better turf horses in the country. Is the distance one of the reasons why you're off this horse? Do you think this is a little long for him?
No, I think the distance might actually help this horse. It'll be interesting to see what he does, Dan. His first 2 races, there are ways to look at him and just think he's a lot better than that. And you're right that Almanar did come from off the pace last time, but he also made a very early move into the race to get himself into position. And this horse, he just couldn't do that. He was last at the top of the stretch. I thought he was just sort of racing unevenly in there. I wanted to see maybe a little bit of a better kick out of him. We'll see. He's a contender in this race. If he's going to be 15-1, I'd be shocked if he was 15-1 in this field. But if he was, he's the horse you want to be using at prices like that. I want to use him, Dan. I just went a different way with my top pick.
Let's take a look at who you went with your top selection in the Grade 1 UN, and you are going with Zulu Alpha. Dependable, tactical, likes the distance, should be in prime contention turning into the stretch, should be a playable price as well.
Right, just thought he could get the right trip in this race. That more than anything sort of swayed me in his direction. I like most of his races since Maker took over. I think he has an excuse for the last one, and I think he fits a lot better in this field.
I think of the 4 morning line favorites, Channel Cat, the number 2, might be the most playable price, and I think he might have the most early speed. I'd like to see him close to the pace. He's still relatively lightly raced. This is only his 3rd start as a 4-year-old. His speed figures match up very well with these horses. Interesting that Pletcher wheels him back in 2 weeks. You usually don't see Todd do that. I think it's a sign of confidence in Channel Cat, figuring maybe this isn't the strongest Grade 1 in the world. I'll take a chance with Channel Cat. I'm going 2-1-4-6. Give me numbers.
I went 6-2-8-5.
Fun race, the Grade 1 UN. Remember the DRFBets Race of the Day money back offer. Bet $7 to win on one horse in the race of the day. If your selection finishes 2nd or 3rd, you get your money back. Learn all the details at promos.drf.com. Post time for the UN, 5:28 Eastern on Saturday. Best of luck.